Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this chapter of class 8, Princess September, we will read about a Siamese princess and her singing bird. So without delay, let's see what's there in the chapter Princess September. In this part, we will see that Princess September, like each of her other numerous sisters, she had a number of sisters, receives the gift of a parrot in a golden cage on her father's birthday from her father. Sadly, the parrot dies, and by chance, a singing bird comes in its place. The princess is very happy and shows her pet off to her sisters, who advise her to put that bird in a cage. The king and queen of Siam is an ancient name for Thailand, had many daughters, and the queen had difficulty in remembering so many names. So one day the king decided to call them January, February, March, of course in Siamese language, till he came to the youngest daughter, whom he named September. Now the king of Siam had a peculiar means strange or unusual habit, which was, instead of receiving gifts on his birthday, he gave them. One year on his birthday, when he had nothing else handy means available immediately, he had nothing immediately available, so he gave each of his daughters a green parrot in a golden cage. The princesses were very happy to receive the gift, and they were very proud of their parrots, and they spent an hour every day in teaching them to talk. And now all the parrots could say, "God save the king," and some of them could also say "Pretty Polly" in no less than 7 Oriental languages. Oriental means of the East. The Orient means country of Far East, and its opposite is Occident, which means the countries of Far West. But one day, when Princess September went to say good morning to her parrot, she found it lay dead in the bottom of its golden cage. The princess was very sad, and she bursted into flood of tears. She started crying, and nothing that her maids of honor could say to comfort her. Maids of honor are the ladies who attend the princesses. So the maids of honor could say nothing to console her or comfort her. She cried so much that the maid of honors couldn't do anything, and they told the queen. Now the queen was very angry, and she said that it was stuff and nonsense, and the child had better go to bed without any supper. Supper means dinner. So the queen was angry, and she ordered that it was nonsense, it was careless of her, and she should go to bed without supper. Now the maids of honor wanted to go to a party, so they put the princess to bed as quickly as they could and left the princess by herself. And while the princess lay in her bed, still crying, still hungry, she saw a little bird which hopped into her room. Now the princess wiped her tears and sat up. Then the little bird began to sing, and he sang beautiful songs all about the lakes in the king's garden, the willow trees whose shadow falls on the still water of the lake, and the golden fish that glided in and out of the branches in the shadow. When he had finished, the princess was not crying. She was happy, and in fact she forgot about her hunger, had no supper, and the fact that she was sad. And she said that was a very nice song. Now the little bird gave the princess a bow, and he said, "Would you care to have me in place of your parrot? It's true that I'm not so pretty to look at, but on the other hand, I have a much better voice." So the little bird offered the princess that she should take the bird in place of her parrot, although he is not that pretty like parrot, but he has much better voice. Now Princess September was very happy. She was delighted. She clapped, and then the little bird hopped on the end of her bed and sang song for the princess to sleep. When the princess woke up the next morning, the little bird was still there, and as she opened her eyes, the little bird wished her good morning. The maids of honor brought breakfast, and the bird ate rice out of the hand of the princess and even took bath in her saucer. And then he began to sing so beautifully that even the maids of honor were quite surprised. for they had never heard such beautiful song before. The princess was very proud of her bird and she was very happy. And then she said that now I want to show you to my 8 sisters. The princess wanted to show the bird to her 8 sisters. She stretched out the first finger of her right hand so that it served as a perch. Perch is a resting place for bird. And the little bird flew down and sat on it. So the little bird sat on the first finger of the right hand of the princess. And then, followed by her maids of honor, the princess went throughout the palace and called each of her sisters, the princesses. And for each of them, the little bird sang a different song. But the parrots could only say, God save the king and pretty Polly. At last, the princess showed the little bird to the king and the queen, and they were also very surprised and delighted. They were very happy. And the queen said that I knew I was right when I sent you to bed without supper. So she took all the credit of the bird coming to her room to herself. Now the king said that the bird sings much better than the parrots. And even the queen said that I should have thought you got quite tired of hearing people say God save the king. I can't think why those girls wanted to teach their parrots to say it so. So the queen said that I know that you must have got tired by hearing people always saying God save the king, and I don't know why the princesses have taught it to their parrots. Then the king said that the sentiment is admirable. The thought behind it is quite good. And I never mind how often I hear it. I accept it because this is for my good that people love me and they say that God save the king. But I am tired of hearing those parrots say pretty Polly. That too. Then the princesses said that father, the parrots say it in 7 different languages. And then the king again said that I dare say they do. I dare say means I agree. I accept that they say it in 7 different languages. But it reminds me of my counselor. They say the same thing in 7 different ways and it never means anything in any way they say it. That means they say different things in different ways, but I could never understand and they never do what they say or whatever they mean. Now the princesses were vexed. That means they were worried. They were distressed at this. The parrots looked very glum indeed. Glum means dull and sad. But the Princess September ran through all the rooms of the palace singing like a lark. Lark is a singing bird. While the little bird flew round and round singing like a nightingale. So while the princess's parrots were dull, Princess September was very happy. She was cheerful. She was running all around the palace with the little bird singing and following her. Now things went like this for several days, and then finally the 8 princesses, they put their heads together. That means they discussed among themselves to take a decision. And then they went to September, sat down in a circle around her, and then they said to September, my poor September, we are sorry for the death of your beautiful parrot. It must be dreadful for you. Dreadful means extremely sad, not to have a pet bird as we have. So we have all put our pocket money together and we are going to buy you a lovely green and yellow parrot. This is what the sisters said. Then Princess September replied, thank you for nothing, because I have a pet bird which sings the most charming songs to me, and I don't know what on earth I should do with green and yellow parrot. So the princess was satisfied and very happy with her singing bird, although it was not as beautiful as the parrots. Then she said, what would I do with green and yellow parrot if it couldn't even sing? Then the sisters again said, well, my dear, it is absurd to talk of your bird when the little fellow flies in and out just as he likes. Absurd means weird or strange. Then they said that your bird can go in and out whenever he likes. And then they looked around in the room and they raised their eyebrows as if questioning, where is your bird now? Then they said, do you mind our asking, where is your bird now? So they asked, where is your bird? And the princess said that he has gone to pay a visit to his father-in-law. And then the sister said, and what makes you think that he will come back? So they were trying to brainwash the princess. And September said that he always comes back. Then the princesses said, all of them together, well, my dear, if you will take our advice, you won't run any risk like that. They said that you should take our advice and there will be no risk of the bird going in and out. If he comes back, well, you will be lucky if he comes back. Put him into the cage and keep him there. That's the only way you can be sure of him. So they told Princess September not to let him go out and put him in a cage. Then Princess September said that I like to have him fly about in the room. I like him flying all over the room. And the sister said ominously. Ominously means in a way that suggests something bad might happen. That's safety first. You should consider the safety of the bird first. They got up and walked out of the room, shaking their heads. Shaking their heads, that means as if they are not happy with what Princess September was doing. And this left Princess September very uneasy. Princess September was now thinking about their advice. Now in the second part, we will see that Princess September loves the bird so much that she didn't want to take any chances and acted upon her sister's advice. Now the bird could not bear the loss of its freedom, and at last Princess September decides to put the bird's happiness above her own happiness. So it seemed to Princess September that her little bird had been away a long time, as it has gone to see his father-in-law, and because the princess sisters have brainwashed her, then her brain was thinking about a lot of things, and she thought that the bird has gone away from a long time, and she thought that something might have happened to the bird. What with the hawk? Hawk are birds which eat small birds. And snares are a trap for catching birds or animals. So her mind went into the things that something wrong might have happened to the bird. You never know what trouble he might get into. Besides, he might forget, or he might take a fancy to someone else. That means he might forget about the princess, or he might start liking someone else. That would be dreadful. The princess wished for the safety of the bird and for him to come back again. Suddenly, Princess September heard a twit-twit sound which was just behind her ear, and she saw the little bird sitting on her shoulder. He had come so quietly and alighted. Alighted means came down so softly that Princess did not hear him. And then Princess said, I wonder what on earth had become of you. That means I wondered what happened to you. Then the bird said, I thought you'd wonder that, said the bird. The fact is, I very nearly didn't come back tonight at all. My father-in-law was giving a party. They all wanted me to stay, but I thought you'd be anxious. So the bird said that the fact is, I was not coming at all because my father-in-law was giving a party and they all wanted me to stay. But I thought you would be anxious, you would be worried. Now, under all these circumstances, under what has happened before with the sisters, it was very unfortunate remark. What the bird had said added to the worries of the princess. So it was an unfortunate remark for the bird to make. Princess September felt her heart go thump against her chest. She was very much worried and she made up her mind to take no more risk. So she put her hand and took hold of the bird. She held the bird, and but the bird did not suspect anything, and he was so surprised when the princess carried him over to the cage and put him inside and shut the door on him. For a moment he couldn't think of anything to say, but in a moment he hopped onto the ivory perch. He sat on the ivory perch on the resting place, and then he said to the princess, "What is it a joke?" And the princess said that this is not a joke, but some of Mama's cats are prowling. Prowling means moving about quietly tonight, and I think you will be safer here. So the princess said that Mama's cat are roaming around and you would be safe here. And the bird said that, well, if it is just for once, I would not mind. So let me out in the morning. Now he ate good supper and then he began to sing, but he stopped his singing in between. I don't know what is the matter with me, he said, but I don't feel like singing tonight. He just said that I don't feel like singing. So Princess September said, okay, don't sing. Well, go to bed instead. And then he put his head under his wings, and in a minute he was fast asleep. And Princess September was asleep too. But in the morning, when it was dawn, she was awakened by the little bird calling at the top of his voice. The little bird was shouting, wake up, open the door of the cage and let me out. I want to have good fly while the dew is still on the ground. Dew means small drops of water on the ground. And then Princess September said that you are much better here. The bird shouted, let me out, let me out. And he was tired to slip through he tried to slip through the bars of the cage, but of course he couldn't. And he bet against the door. He just tried to push the door, but he couldn't open it. Then the 8 princesses came and looked at him, and they told September that it was very wise of her to take their advice. And then they said that he would soon get used to the cage, and within few days he will forget that he was even free. But the little bird did not say anything while the sisters were there. And soon but when they were gone, he started crying, let me out, let me out. And Princess September said that don't be so silly. I have put you in the cage because I love you, I am fond of you, and I know what's good for you, which is what is much better for yourself. And then she said, sing me a little song, I will give you a piece of sugar. But the little bird just stood in the corner of the cage, looked out in the blue sky and never sang anything. And the princess said, what is this sulking? Sulking means being silent, sad or irritated. What's the good of sulking? She said that there's nothing to sulk about. And why don't you sing and forget your troubles? And the bird said that how can I sing? I want to see the trees, the lake, the green rice growing in the field. And the princess said that I will take you out every day for it. And then the bird said that it is not the same. The rice fields, the lake, the willow trees, they look quite different when you see them through the bars, through the cage. And then the bird would not sing at all. He wouldn't eat anything. Now the princess was worried again, and she asked her sisters what they thought about it. And the sisters advised that she should be firm. But she said if he doesn't eat, he will die. Then the sister said that it would be ungrateful for him. The bird would not be grateful, would not be thankful. They said, he must know that you are only thinking about his own good. If he is obstinate means stubborn, he should die. It will serve him the right, and you will get rid of him. So the sisters just advised Princess September to be firm and not let him free. Now September didn't see how that was going to do her very much good. If the bird dies, how is it going to do good to her? They were 8-1, all older, so she said nothing. But Princess September was alone, and all the sisters were against the bird being free, so she couldn't, and she was also the youngest, so she couldn't say anything. And then she thought that perhaps by tomorrow the bird will get used to the cage. The next day when she woke up and she cried out good morning in a cheerful voice, she did not get any answer. She jumped out of her bed and ran to the cage, and she gave a startled cry. Startled means shocked. The little bird lay at the bottom of one side of the cage with his eyes closed, and he looked as if he were dead. Princess September opened the door immediately, holding the bird out of the cage, and she was relieved when she felt that his little heart was still beating. And she told her bird to wake up, little bird. And then she began to cry, and her tears fell on the little bird. He opened his eyes and saw that he was not in the cage. The bars were no longer around him. And then he said to the princess that I can't sing unless I am free. If I cannot sing, I will die. The princess cried. Then she said, take your freedom. I shut you in the golden cage because I loved you and I wanted you to be for myself only. But I never knew that it would kill you. I love you so much that I will let you free if you are happy that way. And then she She opened the window and placed the bird on the sill, and the bird gave himself a little shook himself. The bird shook himself, and the princess said that, "Come and go as you will. It's your will whenever you want to come and whenever you want to go. I will never put you again in the cage." And the bird said that, "I will come. I love you, princess." And then he said that, "I will sing you the loveliest song. I shall go far away, but I will always come back to you and I will never forget you." And then he opened his wings and flew away in the blue sky. But the princess, she burst into tears because it was very difficult to put your happiness below someone else's happiness, especially someone whom you love. But she let the bird go, and then suddenly she felt very lonely. When her sister came to know about it, they mocked her and said that the bird will never return. But the bird did return, and at last he sat on Princess September's shoulder and he ate out of her hand and sang her the beautiful songs he had learned while he was flying up and down the places of the world. September always kept her window open day and night so that the little bird might come to her, and whenever he felt, he could sing. And hence Princess September grew extremely beautiful because of the fresh air. While her sisters, and when she was old enough of the age of marriage, she was married to the king of Cambodia and was carried on a white elephant all the way in the city in which the king lived. But her sisters never slept with their windows open, so they grew extremely ugly and disagreeable. And when the time came then to marry them off, they were married to the counselor with a pound of tea and Siamese cat. So this is a story by Somerset Maugham, which is slightly shortened. It's a beautiful story. It's a small story. I have explained it. I have also explained the difficult words. Now these are the question answers, students. You can go through them, pause the video and go through the question answers on each page. The question answers are very easy. You can easily answer them. For reference, you can check my answers. So this was about the chapter Princess September. I hope you have understood it well. I will see you in my next video. Till then, bye bye.